All righty, everybody. Hey, welcome to this special edition of Note Night in America. We are honored to have you guys join us here live, catching the replays, or even listening to the podcast. You are definitely, especially if you're listening to the podcast, trust me, you probably want to click on the link in the description to watch the live video on this or pull over, take some notes, get yourself in a quiet spot because I think you're going to pick up some big nuggets and some aha moments with tonight's special guest here on Note Night in America. Now, we had the honor of having this amazing lady be on the Note Closer show about 60 days ago. And that episode just absolutely exploded. So many folks loving what she was sharing. And tonight is her opportunity to help you guys and gals out there, you entrepreneurs, you budding professionals, you people who want to leave the W-2 or love your W-2 but want to increase your side hustle. I think you're going to get I don't think it, I know it. You're going to get a lot of stuff out tonight. So we're going to talk about what story does your money tell you out there. And we are honored to have the amazing Katherin Pomerantz join us here tonight on Note Night in America. Katherine, how are you doing, gal? Doing good?
I'm so good. I was always excited, Scott, but like every time you get the best intros. So I feel great. Let's go.
I need to start another LLC and just do it for bar mitzvahs and birthdays and quinceañeras,
Yeah, just
rock
hype people.
shows. The college radio DJ has the opportunity to come out with these shows a little bit there for me for the most part. But you are
I,
uh, you are very passionate about what you do. You have a different backstory than most folks that love money and accounting and bookkeeping stuff that most people don't know about. And so, let's talk a little about where you're from and where you got to it, and then we'll dive into the meats and potatoes of that. What do you say?
oh, well, I can, although you're skipping ahead a little bit.
Oh, well, I don't
Um,
want to skip ahead. If you got it ready
that's
to
fine.
rock and roll, you got your
No, no,
mambo.
no,
Let's
that's
go with it.
okay. So short version, because I will dive a little bit into this as we kind of get into the content, because it is very relevant to what we're going to talk about. We talk about storytelling.
Yeah.
So my background is as an actress. I'm an actress turned accountant. And so saying I have a unique approach to this is kind of an understatement. Today I'm really excited because we get to dive into the method that I have sort of created that really capitalizes on the fact that artists and creativity, this should all be part of running a successful business. It's just not a lot of other people are talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, instead of method acting, you've got a way of method taxes and counting and making entrepreneurs maybe smile a little bit more at the end of the day because they, after sitting down and talking with you, they might have a better path to that ultimate goal in the long run, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, hey, I will let you take it away. I'm monitoring. If you are watching us live, we are monitoring the chat roll. So you got a question, feel free to type in the chat roll. Let me go ahead and enable the chat roll. It's always a good thing for folks that want to type in questions. We're glad to do that, both live and here on Zoom. So also, if you do have a question and you're watching the replay of this, feel free to type it in the replay comments and stuff like that. We'll make sure to get around to answering it and getting. If I don't know the answer, I'll make sure that we get the answer from Katherine later on for you. So, Katherine, just take it away, gal.
great. Yeah, I'm trying to get my screen share up right there. That's what I want. Okay. Okay, you seeing my
You're,
slideshow?
yes, ma'am. What story does your money tell in white and orange? I love it.
Yes, yes. I love orange. Orange is our brand color. So, as I mentioned, I'm an accountant and I'm a money coach, and I've been doing this for 7 years. In that time, I have helped thousands of attendees through workshops and things, and I have helped hundreds of clients one-on-one create highly profitable businesses. So, as I said, Scott kind of jumped ahead because I was going to share more about my background in a minute, but I kind of always like to jump into you just met me, so why should you care? Why should you care about my method? So, when I first started 7 years ago, I only had an accounting firm. I did not have the whole money coaching side to what we did. I wasn't as focused on financial education. I did tax and I did bookkeeping specifically for small business owners because this population is embarrassingly underserved.
Mm-hmm.
So, what most people receive from their accountant is tax preparation. And for real estate in particular, tax preparation is often intentionally like obfuscating or confusing what's really happening with your money because you want to strategically time when you're taking tax deductions. So your tax return has very, very little to do with what's actually happening in your business day to day. Doesn't tell you anything about cash flow, and it cannot help you measure if all of this hard work is paying off. So if all your bookkeeping is doing is just serving your tax preparation, well, then you're hard at work for the government and you're not really working for yourself. And so there is so much more that your accounting could be doing for you. And when I first started, I hadn't really gained that experience. I hadn't really gained that perspective. But I eventually realized this wasn't enough because there's some statistics that get thrown around a lot that are kind of sad. 93% of business owners, 93% of people are paying more than they have to in taxes, according to Forbes. 86% of business owners, despite running profitable businesses, pay themselves less than $100,000 in cash every year, according to Fundera. And 82% of small businesses, we all know the statistics about how often small business fails, right? Like only 50% meet 5 years, only like 30% make last more than 10. 82% of small businesses that fail say they do for cash flow reasons. That's according to US Bank. So eventually I realized, yeah, we all need these tax and financial strategies. We all need to be well organized. Bookkeeping matters. But what business owners really need is a whole new way to relate to their money because we're clearly not doing something right. So imagine instead of all these scary statistics, you're growing a profitable real estate portfolio that doesn't need you to operate every day. So you can take real vacations, take care of your family, and make big strategic moves that will scale your profit margins. Imagine that you are leading an efficient team that you can delegate work to and that they'll help you scale to multiple 6, multiple 7 figures of profit margins. Imagine that you're buying homes and sending your kids to dream schools and having once in a lifetime experiences with cash flow from the investments you're making. Imagine being able to consult your numbers quickly and clearly to see how your strategies are working and having the confidence to seize the next opportunity or to make the next move and to trust it's going to pay off. Imagine paying yourself a real salary or saving for a real retirement. Today, I want to give you a whole new perspective on how money works so that all of this becomes easier to have. So I'm going to go over a couple of mistakes that I see real estate investors making with their accounting. I'm going to go over the surprising way that renter and landlord stereotypes are making these problems worse. And then I'm going to share a little bit about my background and why you should trust my money storyteller method to rewrite these stories so that they'll benefit everyone and benefit your bottom line. And I will then focus on this new way that accounting can support your life and business, go over questions you might have, and send you some action items to move you forward. So before I get to all that, please, if you're watching, drop stuff in the Q&A. I would love to hear from you if you have questions. And I'm going to open with a little story.
Awesome.
So this is Marta. Oops, too many clicks. Sorry. This is Marta. Marta is a renter. Her husband has just started a new job in a new city. It is his dream job. And so they're moving all the way across the country. They have never been to the city before in their lives. They didn't even have time to tour, but they're very excited for this move. Unfortunately, it's been very difficult. The landlord unexpectedly tried to cancel on them, like while they were on the road to move into this new place. They're like, oh, actually, we need to delay. And they're like, we're literally already in the truck. Like, you can't, we signed the lease, you can't delay. So they said, oh, well, we've got maybe these other houses you could move into. And they're like, these houses don't even have the same number of bedrooms. Like, no, I'm not going to move into I'm not going to move into one of these houses. Like, you signed a contract. What's going on? So after scrambling, they stay in the hotel for a few days and they're able to move in, and they just finish unpacking all their stuff before Marta's husband's job starts. And it's a scramble, but like they make it happen. Weird start, but we're all human, right?
Right.
Now, 3 weeks later, their dogs have fleas because the landlord delayed their move because the house, upon inspection, had fleas. But they did not tell Marta that. And so not only does Marta have to pay for a hotel stay for several days, she not only did not have access to her home upon the agreed upon dates, which greatly delayed the move and added a lot of stress to their plan, she now has to pay for pest control and treating her dogs and has like 6 to 8 weeks ahead of her of just cleaning and constant laundry to make sure that this flea infestation does not come back again.
Ouch.
Yeah. So what do you think happens next in this story? Scott or anybody watching, what like chime into the chat for us. What do you think happens next?
Marta gets upset, starts asking for rent credits.
It's a pretty good suggestion. Yeah. Marta's probably owed rent credits. But certainly Marta's really upset.
Yep.
Right. Right. And how do you think that the landlord's responding in this situation?
Probably avoiding phone calls as best as they can. And if they are dealing with these issues, they're doing the front end to disclose it, they're probably trying to avoid it. So, oh, that's because your dog has fleas when you got here. You did.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a true story. In fact, this is my story. This happened.
Did your dog have fleas? Your dog had fleas, didn't
my dog did not have fleas ahead of time, no. So 3 years ago, when we were moving to Houston for my husband's new job, it was a dream job. We'd never been to Texas, but we were like, let's go. This is really what happened to us. And I sent my landlord a message explaining the situation because we've actually been dealing with his property manager, right? And so I sent them a message and I sent it through their little feedback form. I followed all the proper channels, and this landlord did call me almost immediately. Got on the phone and was like, okay, we need to kind of get this handled. There's some good renters protections around like pests and things, and they probably didn't want to deal with that. And this is what happened. I just broke it down. I said, look, I'm actually not even all that upset about, all this different stuff. Like, I'm most upset that you lied to me. Had you told me ahead of time that this was an issue, like, I've had dogs my entire life. I know how to handle fleas. I could have just started the laundry from the get-go 3 weeks ago. This would never have been a problem, right? And I told them this honestly, like, look, but I do run a business. I get why you didn't want to tell me because I might have freaked out and I might have tried to back out, but you tried to back me out anyway. So again, if you had trusted me up front, this situation would have been resolved a lot sooner and a lot easier. And I'm going to have a hard time trusting you in the home that I live in moving forward. And that just sucked, right? I was like, I need to talk to you about that because this is a huge issue for me as a renter. I don't like this situation. And his response, I will never forget this. He just paused and he just went, you are so calm. My wife would be pissed. To imagine if my wife was in this situation, what she would be telling me right now. And so what ended up happening is they did comp us some rent money and they did cover our hotel stay. And the last 3 years that we were in that house was magical. Do you know how nice that property manager was to me? Anytime I had any issue, they were there immediately. They never second guessed anything I asked them. I had a recurring plumbing issue. They sent out 4 different companies, and one of them, the fourth one finally got into it and was like, we found the problem. There's roots all the way down this line. We got to like rip everything. And they just took care of it. It was magical. Because, and so this situation though was only possible because I had a really healthy money story. Here's what I mean about this. So I see a lot more of the situation that you described, Scott, where people are avoiding each other, they're ducking calls, they're really upset. But I am so grateful for the last 3 years that I had been in that house. We actually just moved this week, so that's why it's like totally different thing. Not because that landlord wasn't great, but my husband got a different job. But anyway, that landlord was magical. And in those 3 years, we had our first kid. I was still running my business full time. I was raising a very young child. My husband was still starting his new job. We were busy. I had no interest in owning a home, none whatsoever. I was so grateful to give my money to my landlord because anything I needed, boom, 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 boom. I didn't have to research contractors. I didn't have to manage people. I didn't even have to schedule things. They just texted me and said, we're on our way. Great. Like, done deal. And frankly, if I wasn't spending the money to make him richer, I probably would have paid a house manager to do all that work for me because I did not have the time. I'm a busy lady.
Right.
So the money story I'm in is one of abundance. It's one of gratitude. I am happy to put my money to work, and I'm happy for you to make money off of my money because I'm doing the same thing with my clients, right? Like they give me some of their money, we put it to work, and we all make more money together. This relationship with money is not common, and this relationship is certainly not common among renters and landlords. And so, what I see from a lot of real estate investors is that they start this for financial freedom, right? That's kind of like freedom is the goal, right?
Yep.
But what they end up doing is creating a second full-time job for themselves. And so many of them are stuck treating it like a job. They're afraid to spend, not really sure if all the extra expenses of especially like bookkeeping or like getting a management company is going to be worth losing the cash because they could just put in the hours and they could just get it done. And when it's absolutely necessary to spend money, like something is broken, it's non-negotiable, like property is damaged, they are at the mercy of unreliable contractors. So they don't really feel like they're getting value for their time or their money. There's no clear measurements for how well their hard work or their investments are paying off. They like think they're profitable, but it's really hard to tell. Because like again, we tell the tax man one thing, but over time we're supposedly making money off of this. And they don't have a clear plan for the cash they are making. They're not planning for the long-term financial stability of this business. Even for my side hustlers, you're in business now. And so you got to keep that balance sheet healthy so you're not over leveraged. When, not if, when the next market change happens, you can be totally fine. There is a way to write it out, pivot if you have to, and be ready to make even more money on the other side. That happens all the time for people, but it also happens all the time that is not the way it works out.
Mm-hmm.
So, my slides catch up with me. We all did this for the freedom then. Start our own business, invest in our real estate, but what we end up getting is a lot of stress and uncertainty. Working too many hours on this. You don't know what you need to be measuring. You're not 100% sure if you're profitable. You're not even sure if your numbers are accurate. You don't know how to plan. You might be well organized, but there's just so much to organize. This is not a receipt, like a low paperwork business side hustle, right? This is not a low paperwork business to be in. So what's really happening here? Why am I telling you stories and bringing up all these stereotypes? What's really happening is that you're getting stuck. That avoidance that you talked about, Scott, yeah. That's because you're doing something, whenever you're doing something new, especially if what you're doing is hard, your nervous system is going to be activated in ways that mimic a fight or flight response. So you're going to get stressed, your emotional responses are going to be heightened, and your sympathetic nervous system is going to be activated. And your sympathetic nervous system is activated whenever you're stressed or physically active. This literally actually controls that fight, flight, or freeze bodily response. This is an evolutionary advantage. It's how we survive tigers, or like it's how we attract sexual partners. However, when your sympathetic nervous system is activated, it will shut down other parts of your body that is not going to help you run faster or hit harder or like breathe, right? Mm-hmm. It's saving you all of that energy so you can fight or escape from the tiger. And you don't need access to the brain that you can calmly and rationally problem solve. You lose access to your creative centers. Those part of your brain start to shut down. And this is an advantage if there's a real tiger, but it's not an advantage in the modern world where we're full of constant tiny stressors that kind of build and build and build. In a true life or death situation, you're going to have this giant release of emotion and endorphins and physical activity, and you can escape. You literally, like the tiger, you get away from the tiger, you get back to your village, you hug everybody, you tell them the grand story. There's a lot of like community and camaraderie and like feeling safe and calming down. But if you're surrounded by constant tiny stressors, there is no escape. And so your sympathetic nervous system remains active. It keeps you anxious and it keeps you working hard because now the tigers are invisible. And all your monkey brain knows is I'm stressed. how does this apply to our money? How does this apply to that landlord renter story I told you before?
Mm-hmm. Totally
In
applies.
this situation, I was able to avoid a sympathetic nervous response because I had a good money story. Don't get me wrong. I felt all the stress of that situation and I was mad. I was mad. But my brain knew that my landlord was not the tiger. This wasn't a situation for fight or flight. So if we end up telling ourselves stories about money or about our business or about the people that we have to work with, even subconscious stories that heighten our stress response, we're going to end up fighting off opportunity, or we're going to end up avoiding the situation, that fight or flight, right? And we'll think, oh, it'll all work out if we just keep working hard, right? I'll just keep making money. That'll solve it. Anxiety loves to keep us busy. Our sympathetic nervous system loves to keep us working hard because it thinks it's helping. We're working hard, so we must be doing something, right?
Right. Not running in a circle on a hamster wheel in the same place the entire time, right?
No, this is clearly good for us, right? Well, and this is the most important point. This is our system working correctly. This is how we're supposed to work. So even if you're not an anxious person, even if you're already comfortable taking big risks, or you are already comfortable looking at your financial reports, this is a natural biological response that will be activated for everybody, literally every single person with a body, whenever you do something new or you're trying something hard. And so tell me how real estate investing is not a constant stream of new challenges and big difficult goals to reach.
Yeah, it totally, especially if you're in the distressed real estate side of things, it's definitely a challenge of finding and coordinating and trying to fix things up or work with distressed borrowers or work with renters or work with difficult sellers or dealing with the inner control freak that we have to deal with ourselves, which most investors are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Even when I'm working with clients who are trying to use that really beautiful, like 1031, like, ooh, I'm just going to level up, level up, level up, level up. And I'm like, I want to get out of that grind. I want to get into like the bigger commercial deals. I want more and more and more. They're just going to more and more and more is also going to trigger new and different.
Right.
So you can switch the business model. This problem might move with you, right? So what we need is a new system to work with, to work through this, right? And it's going to start with the stories that we are telling ourselves because money is a really powerful tool. I'm going to argue it's the most powerful tool for reactivating that rational, strategic, creative part of our brain. Kind of talked about this earlier about this like method acting through accounting. Like this is where this happens, right? Because by communicating with your money regularly, you are going to get unbiased, honest, and smart feedback about what is working in your business or in your strategies and what areas need more attention. And so we will know where to focus, we will know where to put in effort, and we can be truly confident that what we are doing is serving our larger goals. So we need to be mindful of the story that we're using about money so we can avoid the stress response and be in this more profitable relationship. So let's talk about the money storyteller method. As I mentioned, I'm Katherin Pomerantz. I'm an accountant turned money coach, and I am not, well, I'm an actress turned accountant and money coach. And so I'm not formally trained as an accountant. I do not have an accounting degree. I do not have a business degree. I have a theater and dance degree. And unfortunately for young Katherine, artists are not particularly good at making money. And so in my first career, I was working 3 to 4 jobs at a time, sometimes 80 plus hours a week, and I could barely pay my bills. Mm-hmm. So it finally occurred to me, I could not work harder. Hard work is never going to fix my financial issues here. There was something about money. There was something about how it works that I wasn't taught. I thought if I could figure out how money worked, I could maybe help a lot of people. And about a year later, there was like a very specific moment where I had this thought of like, I think I need to go figure out how money works. And almost a year to the day from that, I had started my own accounting firm because I had completely fallen in love and I could not wait to share it with people. But as I mentioned earlier, taxes and bookkeeping was not enough to change my clients' experience with money. Some of my clients were like me, we were crushing it. But I had other clients that no matter how much we changed their external circumstances through good strategy or good organization, their experience remained really chaotic. So I felt like there's one more thing about how money works I haven't nailed yet. And so I wanted to explore that issue. And it kind of occurred to me, as you pointed out already today, Scott, my story's kind of weird. How did this cute little blonde actress turn herself into this highly sought after business accountant in 1 year? Again, it's not like I went and got a job somewhere or went back to school. I just thought this stuff was great. I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed learning it. I enjoyed doing it. And okay, I guess like humble brag moment or not so humble brag moment. Like I had more referrals than I could handle. I was constantly being told by clients and by other accountants who were referring work to me that I was brilliant at this. Nice to hear, but it's kind of a odd story. Money used to be the greatest source of stress in my life. So what changed? Was it really learning about taxes that transformed that? Probably not. I do like taxes. It's my bread and butter, but they're not that interesting. So I started to focus on my experience with money. And I noticed something very surprising. Working with money felt the same as rehearsing a new play. Thought that's kind of weird, but all right, we'll keep chasing that feeling. And I started to pay attention to how my mentors and to how my most successful clients and to how other business leaders who I really admired, how are they experiencing money, or what are we doing together that feels different than my clients that are really chaotic? And so forgive this really horribly grainy screenshot, you all. But this is a picture of Charlie Munger. He is Warren Buffett's right-hand man, and he helps run the incredibly successful firm, Berkshire Hathaway. These are some of the most successful investors who have ever lived. They are also surprisingly transparent about their methods. This is an interview that Charlie Munger did with the BBC in 2012, I think. It runs through a checklist of how he and Warren Buffett decide to invest in a company. If you listen to this interview, I shared the really nasty YouTube link because if you get curious, it's really short. But if you listen to this interview, he never talks about math. He talks about the company's place within their industry. He talks about its competitive advantages. He talks about its smart leadership. He is using financial reports, but he is picking up on the underlying story of a company. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so good at this because I never stopped being an artist. I never stopped being a storyteller. And the best business people in the world are so successful because humans are natural storytellers.
Right.
We invented money to share about our values. And so these gentlemen happen to be very good at sniffing out stories that are completely bogus. And they don't invest in bogus stories. They invest in stories and they believe in. And they make a lot of money as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And I found my missing piece. So y'all, this is what the Money Storyteller Method is all about. This is how I help people create highly profitable, easy to scale, fun to lead businesses. There are 3 pillars: the money story, both our past with money and then also the future that we want to have with our money and our financial situation; our money systems, all the bookkeeping, all the taxes, how we need to get organized and focus ourselves, right? And then the money map, how you take the story that you want for the future, how you take all your good data and you create yourself a financial dashboard that's going to measure how to get there. So today we're focusing on money story. I know every time I do this, especially with your kind of crowd, Scott, they're all investors. They are used to thinking strategically. They are not afraid of math. They are not afraid of spreadsheets.
Yep.
So I always get money systems questions. This is the kind of crowd who wants to talk bookkeeping and tax strategies and want to ask me technical things. And I am here for it. I'm going to leave room for a Q&A. So if you've got technical things, like please jump in there and add them. Leave them in the comment section of YouTube, and Scott or I can like check them and grab them and help you out. But because of all these nasty stereotypes about landlords, because of the way that people think about the people who own property, the people with power, you, more than anybody, us business owners, us entrepreneurs, us people who are actively wanting to be rich, you have got to get clear on your money story. This is the secret sauce of me becoming such a successful accountant. And so I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to train you on storytelling today.
Love it.
Yes. So, hero's journey. Scott, are you familiar with the hero's journey?
Yeah, I got a copy of the book over here somewhere. I think I originally got it from Russell Brunson back a few years back. So yeah, it's a great book.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was an idea discovered by Joseph Campbell, who was a professor of literature. And he realized that, like I pointed out, storytelling is inherently human. And every single myth, every single great religious story, all the great different cultures all around the world, they have a story that has sort of the same journey, the same touch points through every story. And this is the hero's journey. It becomes the framework that they teach in like movie writing classes, right? Or like writing classes, like if you want to be a novelist, they'll teach you the hero's journey as a way to like learn plot structure, learn how to like engage with the audience, right? So I'm going to simplify it for today for our purposes. It's got 6 steps. You've got your hero, which is you. The hero is always standing for the audience. You've got your inciting incident. Why did you start this business? Why did you get involved in real estate investing? What are you doing with this? Then you're going to find a mentor. You're going to go out and gather all your allies and your teammates. You're going to fight your villain and you're going to win your treasure. So when I started applying storytelling to money, because I realized, oh my gosh, this is the secret, fits so well. And I realized that people have a lot of difficulty here because they're telling themselves stories where money is not cast in one of these optimal roles. There's my actors in there. I'm like, money, you're playing against type. Let's move you, right? So most people put money in one of 2 places where it doesn't really sit very comfortably. And so they're maybe not getting all of the good results that they could experience if they moved money around a little bit. So that first role is money is treasure. Right at the end of the story, money is the thing we win. Kind of obvious because there's a lot of stories in which you literally do win a lot of money, right? Like heist movies, right? Like a pot of gold could literally be the treasure of the story that we're seeking. But for us, the issue with making money your treasure is that treasure comes at the end of the story. I don't want to live a life, I certainly don't want to run a business where I only get money at the end. That I actually have already lived that life early in my career, and it sucks. It's really hard. It is hard to live without money. So when we are thinking through how do we think about money? How are we talking about money that makes money our treasure? Here's some examples. I am not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not lucky enough. I need to plan more. I'm not ready. All of those things that is pushing success to our future, that is not acknowledging the opportunities or success that are available to us right now. I need to take another class. I need to buy from this other coach. I need to, of course, like there's ways and times and reasons to uplevel your skill set or your knowledge. That's not what I'm saying. But there's so many of us who are planning, and never doing. Or we're just thinking of, that's not for me. I'm not the right color. I'm not the right gender. I'm not in the right place. I never took the right courses. I missed out on the opportunity once and it's never coming by again. So money is always somebody else, for somebody else, and some other time. All of those thoughts make money our treasure.
So you're saying we need a little Stuart Smalley in our life. Doggone it, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me, right?
Yes. Absolutely. This is the entire self-help industry in many ways. This is the entire coaching industry in many ways. Is like you have some things you can do right now. There's something unique and special about you right now, and money can be part of that. Right now there are ways to earn more money. Let's find them. The second role is money as your villain. So this one comes up when we are fighting away money or our success. And these can be very obvious. Eat the rich. Money is the root of all evil. I have earned enough. I'm not in it for the money. Probably not necessarily this crowd is that particular one, but I have seen many, many, many successful people who are like, well, I mean, I should just be satisfied. I mean, I have so much more than I used to. I should be, I should be okay, right? Those thoughts where it's like, yeah, but you could also like you have a unique ability to make more and more and more money. And then that means you have more and more and more power to help people, more and more to give back to your community, more and more that you can invest. Like, why shouldn't you be the one who makes it rain? Right? Money as villain thoughts can be less obvious though, because anytime we are thinking about systems or ideas that are giving away our power, I think these become money as villain thoughts. So the IRS, I don't want to earn a lot of money. The IRS is just going to take it all, right? Oh, I could never charge that. My customers won't pay, or my competition is constantly undercutting me. Things of that nature. Now I want to pause in that there are real reasons that certain people do not have the same opportunities or the same access as other people. So to say, oh, you're like giving all your power up to other systems is not to not acknowledge that sometimes you're in a situation that sucks. But we always have control over how we react in a situation. And so there is a opportunity for you to reclaim the power you do have and not fight off money or opportunity that might be right in front of you if we are open to it. So it's worthwhile to sit and think about, what am I thinking about that is pushing my success away from me, that is delaying my success, that is not letting me take advantage of an opportunity that might be right here, versus, or what am I doing where I'm actively even fighting it off, where I'm just saying, I don't want that. I'm not in it for the money, right? I'm not in it for that result, or money makes me evil. I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be that kind of investor. I don't want to be in that kind of industry. Again, that landlord stereotype. That's the thing that's going to really, seriously, this is something that really messes with people's heads once they get to a certain level of success. Like, ooh, what does that mean about me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm no longer like the people that I grew up with. What does that mean about me? Those are all money as villain thoughts. And those can trigger stress responses and keep us playing small. So we don't want money to be our treasure. We don't want to wait around for it till the end. We don't want money to be our villain. We don't want to fight it off. If we go back to the hero's journey, I know I am the hero. The inciting incident is why I have a business. So where does money go? So I always tell people money should be your teammate. Mm-hmm. So money comes at that like training montage bit, right? Where you're going to get your magical sword. You're going to learn how to make your superpowers. Money is going to be one of your allies. It's going to work with you the whole time through the story so that it can help you defeat the villain. It is there for the tough battles, and it is there to help you enjoy your treasures, the true treasures in your business. I love the word teammate, and I'm a storyteller, so I'm very picky about the words that I use. I love the word teammate because I hear all the time money is a tool or a resource. Yes, it is. But like a tool has to like be put to work. It needs your action, it needs your energy. And a teammate can work without you. Mm-hmm. You can be told, hey, money, this is our goal. Go do that job for me. Okay. This is what I want. Go work on that for me. And money doesn't get tired. It's not human. Money never runs out. It makes more of itself. So you assign it a clear job. It is a really hardworking teammate and it works without you. Money as teammate also acknowledges all of the emotional stuff we just talked about with Money Story. It allows space for the fact that, like any human teammate, you're going to need to spend some time talking with it, feeding its energy, making sure it's well taken care of, and that you are respecting what it's telling you so that it can really thrive, so that it can really pay you back. So money as teammate really acknowledges that emotional relationship side of money that like most of us don't ever think that's all subconscious. We're not really aware it's happening, and acknowledges the fact that if we let it and we release it and we're allowing it to give and receive freely, that cash flow is the accounting word, although it sounds very woo-woo when I talk about it this way. If we're willing to stand in that flow, oh yeah, money works hard for us. It does a really good job. So I've been talking a lot, Scott. So just keep running in anything in the Q&A I've been missing.
No, you're doing good. I mean, people, I totally agree to this because I think what you say about, especially money being a teammate, it can go to work. It doesn't always need to be poked and prodded, and you taking the action yourself to do it. And I think some people think of that, oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do this, versus realize, no, if you go put this in place, it'll work for you without you having to do anything. And prior to that, the villain, a lot of times it's our own inner negative thoughts based on a lot of how we're raised and maybe beliefs that come from our family, our rearing, how we grow up approaching things, or how our parents approach finances in a lot of cases too, that can lead to that villain being almost that inner negative demon talking to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's something I hear all the time is like, oh my gosh, my parents, they talked about money this way, or like, I mean, even as something as simple as when we stand in line and we see a woman in designer shoes being nasty to the barista, it's like, oof, I don't want to be like that, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I don't want to be one of those out of touch people. Like all those things can really get in at us if we're not being mindful of it. So
Right.
money story is where it all starts. And I love what you said about putting systems in place, about if you put the right things in place, it's going to work hard on behalf of you. I'm like, that, Scott, is somebody who runs a business, a good business. That's a business owner right there. That's the type of thinking we want more of. That's why you're all watching this show, right?
Right. Exactly.
So when you get this right, when you put all the pillars in place of the money storytelling method and you've got your story and it leads to good, efficient systems and it leads to having a clear map, like this is what we can have. And I chose a beach picture because that's what we're all here to have fun and freedom, right? But we get to experience improved emotional intelligence. We're not going to panic when something unexpected happens. Instead, we're going to have the tools to process our strong emotions so that we can show up for the work anyway. We're not going to be the landlord who avoids the calls of the woman who you didn't tell about the fleas. You're going to be the landlord who picks up the phone the first time and says, how can we make this right? I know, like, I'm here to take care of you. That's my job, right? And as a result, I love that company and recommend them all the time, right? Like we have
Mm-hmm.
a good relationship. That's how we show up for our work. You're not just going to be a hopeful dreamer either. You're going to have a clear vision to work towards and a clear path and all the information you need to evaluate if that plan is working. You might have the ability to pay taxes with ease and not stress because you're looking at it and you've got ways to measure it. You're going to ensure ROI when you make investments because you're going to have a clear strategy for growth and you're going to feel confident about your ability to achieve them. You're going to be a good steward with the money you make. Remember, you should be the one who makes it rain. Why not? You will make sure that money goes to the most important jobs in your business, in your personal life, and eventually for other people too. And you're not just going to be guessing all the time about how to spend all this stuff. You'll review your money regularly and you'll actually enjoy doing it. You'll have money in the bank. You'll have money in your retirement accounts. And you'll have less time working because you're going to have complete clarity about how much work is needed to achieve your goals and a clear plan to get more off your plate as you grow. This all comes from remembering money is my teammate. So that was kind of general. There's some questions that I usually get hit with right at this point. It's
Right.
like, okay, yeah, that all sounds nice. The first one is like, okay, but this does seem a little soft. Does all the slowing down for the mindset stuff really help me work less and make more money? Like, can I really work smarter? Sucking it up and getting this job done has worked plenty well so far. And to which my answer always is, how's it? So remember that first mistake we talked about is like being afraid to spend unless it's absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about I don't mean to pick on anybody listening. This is like such a big one with my real estate people in particular, is like, you guys are strategic. You know how to count your dollars, but you're not very good at like releasing them. You're not very
Mm-hmm.
good at money is my teammate, put it to work.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with a client one time who was netting only $1,000 a month. He had a pretty significant portfolio, but it was messy. He was having a hard time getting all the pieces together. It had really grown too big for one single person to be in charge of. And my starting rate at the time was $750 a month. That's going to eat up pretty much all that cash. But we did some money story work, and he said yes. And after everything was set up, we saved him 5 hours a week, at least, most of the time. There was so much admin, so much bookkeeping, so much to get organized. And at the time, when he had first called me, his 3 biggest pain points were researching new deals, chasing unreliable contractors, and having to hound his accountant who kept making mistakes on his tax returns.
Mm.
So, do you know what happened after he got 5 hours a week back to just think, to just expand, to just network, to do all the research on all of those future deals he wanted to be making?
He probably closed more deals on those to begin with, yeah, or found better
Oh, yeah.
deals.
He very quickly started making more than $1,000 a month. Very quickly started making a lot more money. And his management style, after he had all of the data from a good bookkeeping system to accurately measure his costs and all of that wasted time and resources from all of those less than ideal contractors. Imagine how that affected his management style. Ironically, he became kinder. He wasn't relying on his gut instincts anymore. He had facts. He did not waste time arguing. He fired people who didn't keep their word. He had the proof. He was like, you're not doing what you said you'd do. I don't need to be mad about it. We had a very clear agreement. I can back it up. And so he found new people, and he was very upfront about what he needed and when. And so that relationship started stronger and it stayed stronger. He's a much better team leader because he is not relying on emotional reactivity anymore. And all those mistakes on his taxes. I'm still not his accountant actually, because his accountant was actually doing a pretty good job. But when he was, wading through piles of receipts once a year, and the other guy, the client was wading through piles of receipts once a year and everything was half finished. Yeah, when you're not doing that, there's a lot more time and attention to get stuff right.
Well, it's the offensive side of the ball versus being defensive. Defensive is having to go through all those things and just to get it down. If that's all your time is spent, then that's what you're going to get. But you've got to be forward, put some time into forward thinking. A lot of it's just being organized.
Yes, 100%. And I think I would argue the secret to being organized as somebody who's been leading a bookkeeping team for like 7, almost 8 years. It really comes down to the stress response. This is the reason we stay busy and we don't just actually close, like get done what is more important, what has a higher priority, which nets us a longer term return than what's immediately right now the hottest fire, right? So this mindset stuff is soft, but makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions I get all the time is like, okay, how does this actually help me measure stuff? Like I can tell stories, but like this doesn't have to do with metrics, right? Well, mistake number 2 was not having clear metrics for success. And a lot of times when people are doing this, they're like, okay, I'll just rely on other people's research about the markets, or I'll find some benchmarks, or I'll take averages based on what I've been doing before. It's fine. That is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Having a number to measure against is useful. But when you are really clear on your story and it is your story and it's about what you uniquely want for your life and what therefore you uniquely need from this business, we can work backwards to create your own metrics for success. So what is it? Is it more time with your family? Is it leaving a legacy? Is it a sense of security and safety? Is it freedom for travel and for adventure? I can map all those things out for you financially. Then we can create strategies that feel aligned with that style of living and then just work backwards. This is that money system stuff. Let's design a bookkeeping system which gets you specific data on what you're trying to do so that you can get more of what you want, even if other investors are living and doing things differently, right? It all starts with the money story, though, in order to have that really clear and organized feedback.
Well, there's the thing too, like you say about that, what is your story? What do you want your story to tell you? And most people will put themselves, their family, their vacations last instead of planning ahead of time.
Yeah.
Then they never get around to it. And that's why you have a high divorce rate as for entrepreneurs, especially real estate, that they're, our fancy dinner for our anniversary of Valentine's Day got canceled because you got to go fix something. You know what I mean? Instead of delegating and putting people to work to make things happen.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It makes such a huge difference. We've got to start lifestyle first, because otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
What is the point? So, thing number 3, I still don't know if I'm going to succeed. Like I can do all this mindset work. Like, okay, sure, I can get myself organized. And this is tied to that third mistake of not having a clear plan for all of the profits and for when you are making all that cash, right? Your money story is going to give you confidence. Truly, if you can do this work, you're going to have confidence for big action and you're going to have clarity on what you need from your business, all that systems work, right? And so we can put that together to make a map that outlines how and when your money should be used. This is the crux of making money your teammate. This is the crux of, I know this is what I want. I want to get 1% closer to that. Where? So yeah, there's technical work that needs to be done. The money story is only the first of the pillars. But if you don't start with the story work, you are never going to feel good no matter how much money you earn.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to feel good about it. And I think that needs to get said more often, because I have worked with people who are, making $1,000 a month, and I'm working with people who are making millions of dollars a month, and they'll come to me with the same pain points.
Can't take the money when we need it gone, and you can't make love to your dollar bills if you're looking at freaking paying your spouse.
And I love money, and it makes life easier. Earning more makes life easier. It gives you more opportunity, more choice, more power. I more of that, please, for everybody. I love that. But if we're not working on the stories, we're not going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So true.
So, action items and other questions. Do you have any questions for me, Scott, before I?
No, we're good. We're hitting some of these questions from folks. Like I was just about to type that in the YouTube comments and stuff like that. So we're good. Doing good.
Okay. Fantastic. Well then, your action items. We just learned something new, right? Here's that DIY path for all my beautiful, smart investors listening who love that. Take everything that you've learned today. Get clear on the money stories that you've had in the past, the ways that you think about money that feel like a teammate, or excuse me, that feel like a treasure, or that feel like a villain, and do the work to rephrase them, rewrite them, and start thinking about money as your teammate moving forward. Try to notice as you go through your life, your day-to-day life, things that hit that don't feel like money is your teammate. And when we work on that, then use that new vision as money is your teammate, assign it clear jobs, and create strategies that align with that vision, that future money story that you want, so that you can create those custom success metrics, so that you can, keep yourself organized and measure all that stuff. Put all together, the Money Storyteller Method is supposed to give you confidence and clarity and data to measure your success and progress. I'm very good at getting what I want, and this is the best way I know how to do that.
Love it.
Your other option for today, if you want more support, if you want to get there even faster, I have 10 spots on my calendar this week for action plan calls. So if you're interested, share a bit of your money story with me, and then identify the next right steps. I'll identify them with you. We'll work together to figure out the next right steps to strengthen your financial foundation. I offered these after the podcast interview, and some really, really, really cool conversations came out of that. So I'm excited to do this again. We kicked off some cool projects, and others just got fast answers. Of course, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So here's my contact stuff one more time. Workshops like this are my favorite part of my work. Teaching this is how I serve my team, and it's how I find all the really cool people who work with us. So I really am available to talk if you want.
I love it. Well, that's the most important thing, because a lot of the things that you just said are ingrained one way in our brains, and we need that coach or that person, that light with our hero's journey to guide us along the path a little bit, because a lot of times we let our own preconceived notions or things or beliefs run us down that one path. Like, oh, no, we need to come back. We need to think it differently and take a right versus the left branch of what we're thinking, right?
Yeah. And it's really, really, really fun that we can do the both and, is that we've got the coaching side and we can really help you implement, but we can also help you get clarity on the strategies and stuff. It's not just, just make more money. We'll show you how to make more. We'll show you how to take big actions and opportunity. I also want you to be a good steward with it. I want you to keep a lot of that money at the end of the day. I want you to put it to do more cool things in the world. So yeah, I mean,
well, I'm gonna give but here's the thing. It's what it, I know I'm a big proponent of getting, folks putting money away in the retirement accounts. There's self-directed IRAs, there's SEPs, HSAs. A lot of people look as, I'm gonna put it in there, I can't touch it. Well, you can actually use that to help you invest and help use that money to go to work to buy assets with, or notes to have that grow as well.
Yeah.
But what's funny, I hate to say this, but when I'm talking to folks that run self-directed IRA companies, they tell me, they'll have billions of dollars under management, and roughly about 40% of the money in IRA accounts is sitting in 0% interest bearing accounts, not doing anything at all, not working.
Does not
I know
surprise me.
it doesn't, but it's that whole, oh, I'm going to do that and I'm going to put it in there and I'm just going to leave it and I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. Get to it later. Well, getting to it later isn't the, when I grew up in South Texas, it was always the mañana method. Oh, we'll get to it mañana,
Yeah.
tomorrow. Well, you got to take a
Yeah.
little bit of time each day. And part of that is like what you and your team does is going through, let's clear up it. Let's free up 5 hours or 6 hours or 4 hours so that you can actually focus on things that aren't getting done. I mean, we just had a VA masterclass, and that was one of the biggest things we were talking about. Listen, there's all these things you can delegate to somebody that you don't have to be a control freak about. You can let it go. I'm gonna start singing the let it go, let it go, from Frozen. I know. I'm an ex-thespian as well. All right, in theater and in college and high school and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is that you have to realize if you're not liking where you're at, doing more of the same is just going to make it worse for you in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing that my clients don't know I'm there to solve for them is that avoiding you talked about of like, oh yeah, sure, like I'll get to it, right? People avoid their money. Even millionaires will avoid their money. And it is the primary reason they're not making more of it. They're not getting more of their time back. And so this story work, this is why I was so excited to talk about it with this group. Because again, like you guys are not afraid to ask me technical questions. I always get the most advanced specific questions from like audiences like this, which is fun. But you guys need to slow down and think story stuff too, because this is what's going to keep you overworking when you could be leveraging what you already have to get even more success even faster and really enjoy your time. And that's the experience I want you to have. That's the experience I want to have. More of that, please. Right.
Exactly. But it's also part of the mindset. I have a buddy of mine, his name is Mike. He's out of Memphis Mike. And when we were at a conference recently, and his phone was ringing like every 20 minutes at the table. And it was distracting for a conference. It's like, do you not have somebody that can help you with that? He goes like, I do, but I still have to answer. I'm like, why? I said, where's your wife? Well, she's in the hotel room. I'm like, well, don't you have an assistant? Well, I do, but I don't. I'm like, you're killing yourself. I was like, you're missing out on all this stuff that they're talking about. Literally, we're going through like delegation. He was missing half it because he was busy in the hallway.
Yeah, because he's busy. Yeah, with his phone. Yeah.
But I asked him, I said, do you have these things put? He goes, oh no, I don't have anything for that. I don't have anything set up. I don't have any stuff. I was like, you're just literally, I know you're making money. I know you got a portfolio, but you're burning it because you're the bottleneck in your success more so than anything else. And we always are, whether it's things that we put off, we don't delegate, we're control freaks about, or things that we don't want to give up because, they can't do it as good as I do. It's my baby too. I've seen that. Oh, I don't want to give that to somebody else because that's my thing. That's how I identify myself in doing that. Like, well, no offense, you're not the best person for that anymore. We need to move you into a different role, like the book traction, stuff like this. But that's the most important thing. And I'm so glad you brought that because we can sit here and talk little technical issues, but you like to talk with folks to get a better picture of where they're at. And I think in just a few questions and your action plan calls, you can kind of find out where people are coming from and where their biggest pain points are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really, really, really eye-opening for a lot of business owners where that sense of control, I mean, that's part of our stress response too. That's a freeze response. That's I need to hold money super, super tightly. I need to hold this into my power. And it takes some work to be able to undo that. But one of the greatest things about my job is that one of the fastest ways to get you there is to show you how much money you could be making. Like, if I could get you to let this go a little bit. Yes, it is terrifying to invest money when you don't have a lot of it, when you feel like you don't have a lot of it, right? When you feel like, well, but it's barely working as is it truly safe to make this next step? But I could show you, like, yeah, but imagine the story. Imagine what becomes possible for you if we get you even 1 hour a week back, or if we get you even somebody who's 80% good at this, right? Like, what would be the ROI? What would be the net? How would that change this money map? And then all of a sudden it's like, that would be worth it to me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try that. And then you get the experience of, oh well, that feels way better. Even if they're only as 80% as good as I was. Especially at first when you're learning to delegate effectively,
Right.
learning to be leadership. That's a new role to step into, right? We all have to learn what that's like. But it feels good. It feels nice. I'm making money and I don't feel so like this. There's a lot of power in that. It's one of the best parts of my job. And
I'm
yeah,
sure.
money is what is my teammate that's helped do that information. So
We've got an anonymous question here from somebody who's, I haven't filed my taxes in 5 years. It keeps me up at night and scared. Would an action plan be a good starting point to talk with you, or do I need to do something else?
no, absolutely. Let's talk. I would say, especially if it's been 5 years, yeah, let's find that story. Let's figure that out. And then let's just like really break small, easy steps, 1% at a time. That's a very daunting feeling project. It's a project I do all
I'm sure you do it all the time.
the time.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
that's why I'm glad somebody asked it on here, because that's for a lot of folks, this is a good time, but it's also a very scary time. You know, a lot of folks are excited about the new year holds. Hopefully they haven't given up on their New Year's resolutions by January 5th or February 5th as it is now. But it's also that daunting aspect because like, oh no, I got to get to April 15th. I got to get this done. I got to delay till October, you know,
Yeah.
keep kicking the can down the road, and it happens. And some of those things are in place because life happens. But it's not that hard to go back in and start figuring things out and putting the pieces together, because it's better you're proactive about it versus reactive.
Yeah. Avoiding your money is the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And it is sometimes short-term energy and effort as we learn that new skill, as we suffer through that stress response.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, oh, I have such a strong system for getting this handled. This is never going to be a problem ever again.
Mm-hmm. Got another question here for you. He says on here, I've done a bad job of commingling business funds with personal funds as I'm self-funding my own business. Can you help?
So, money story word that stands out to me there is bad. Bad job. Really? Why is it bad? Bad for who? Bad in what ways? You're not doing anything illegal. The IRS doesn't care if it's all mixed up. You can take money out of your business whenever you damn well please, no matter the structure that you're set up secretly. We just call it different things. So, first thing I would do is that there's probably a lot of shame in that word bad. So, you're doing the best you can. You're busy. It sounds like you're learning a lot of new things as you're getting stuff set up. That's the very first thing I would tell you is that money story rewrite right there. That's the first piece you need. You're fine. You can figure out a way to do differently now that you've identified, oh, this is the next step I want to take. As far as systems work, yeah, we can absolutely talk about how to make that easier for yourself. But I think that if you release the shame around it, it would become a lot easier. I mean, I'd love to talk to you. Like I said, I'd love to talk to people, but I'd be surprised if you don't already just feel better from just that little tweak of what you said.
Well, I think that's too. I think you hit the nail on the head. Is okay. You did the best that you can. I think people think about going in front of their accountants or attorneys, and they're going to get, shame on you. You're
Lectured.
bad. Lectured. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Why'd you do this? And I think we've all been there at some point. Why'd you do this? Well, I did the best that I could with what I was given at any given time, and it's not something that you should be embarrassed about. It's your business. You just got to clear it up and keep marching on. That's why it's there. I think there is a lot of leniency in getting your taxes done. They want you to get it done in time, and it's good too. If you don't, there's penalties, but still, hey, they can be very, very forgiving on a lot of penalties and fees along the way if you're proactive in it too, right, Katherine?
The IRS is made of real people. And speaking of like landlord stereotypes leading to bad money stories, oh my God, the way the IRS is treated. They're made of real people. They are understaffed. They are stressed. If you come to them with, here's the situation, how do I do better? How do I put something in place? They're going to be so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like an appeals process with the IRS is always possible. It is always possible to get things reduced, and it is always possible to talk to that human being before you on the other end who is making that decision and say, this is what I was going through. This is why I didn't know what I should have been doing.
Right.
What can you do for me?
Mm-hmm. Got another question here. Is there a way to track down old 1099s and old W-2s from the past years? I think it's the same person as his anonymous.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you have not created an online account with the IRS, I would highly recommend you fill out your online profile. You can pull any tax report, I think from 2012 or 2015. I don't remember which exact year. If it's not in your online portal, you can send a letter and they'll just mail it to you.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
great. Yeah.
if it's on file with the IRS, they got it.
There you go. There you go. And then you know what you need to start working towards claiming and writing off there in a lot of
Yes,
cases.
absolutely. Absolutely. That feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. I can drop you the link of the where that information is, how to get that, who to send that letter to, all that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff there. Is there an average amount of time somebody should spend either per week or per month with their bookkeeping and accountant coach like you?
Mm. With a coach, that's an interesting spin on that question. I've not been asked that version. I was like, oh, average time I should be spending, right? Um, I
Because you
think
got
it
bookkeepers
depends.
that, I mean, I think you got bookkeepers that can download like QuickBooks and start putting things into
Yeah,
specific things.
I think it depends at what level you're at and what
Sure.
you're specifically working on, right? If you're in a setup phase with me, you might spend several hours a week. Or if you're in my coaching program, you might spend several hours a week, but you're actively learning and building and we're working through stuff and we're setting things up. And it's a concentrated 4 months, the coaching program, 4 months of work, and then you're good forever. Like you know this stuff. It's in place. We just edit, we adjust. My long-term clients, the ones that are doing the whole, we do money mapping intensives quarterly, and they've got my bookkeeping team. Like, I'd be surprised if they're spending more than a couple hours a month on it. Even during your intensive seasons, that's usually just like a couple hours in that 1 week, and then we just refresh everything for them. So it depends on where you're. I mean, obviously, like we mentioned with the cleanup work of the tax returns,
Yep.
while you're putting new things in place, yeah, maybe this deserves your energy and your attention and your focus. But that's just like if you're making a real estate deal, that deserves your energy and your attention
Yep.
and your focus right now. And you're going to put something new in place that then is going to work for you long term. So, what part of the story are we in? Are we talking about
Right.
what are we working on? Then I can tell you how much time it would take, right? So,
Exactly. Well, can you deliver a little more in your coaching? I think you went through that. You got some stuff on the front end. It's 4 months of
oh,
group coaching.
yes.
Share
Yeah.
about
So
that,
if
please,
you
Katherine.
really want to dive into the Money Storyteller Method, one of our flagship products is the Unstoppable program. So it's a 4 month program, it's a hybrid group and one-on-one coaching with me. We do all the work first on the money system, money story pillar, then we do money systems, money map, and at the end, you have a lot of reasons to celebrate. You have a lot of ability to celebrate. You have a lot of data, a lot of metrics. You have learned a ton of skills to think strategically like a CEO, to act like your own CFO before you need to hire one and stuff. So I can share the link if you all are interested
Yeah,
in
please
learning
do.
more
Yeah,
about
please
that.
do. Well, yeah, that'd be great. And make sure it's in the replay links and stuff like that too for people to take a look
Well,
at.
thank you, Sky. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Be happy to chat more about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if you got it a few minutes before we let you go, that's always a good thing. People are always looking for, and we've got folks. I mean, I'm a coach. People like coaching on here, especially if it's something that can save them hours and then put them in a different direction and change the course from them thinking all gloom and doom to prosperity and happiness. Why not, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's been so delightful this year. I'm finally traveling again after having a baby after COVID. I'm hitting all these conferences and I keep running into these people I haven't seen in years and they're like, man, I to my money ritual. I still do my money story work every week, 30 minutes, just like you taught me. Haven't missed in 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, you have. I'm like, this stuff works. I'm like, I'm so touched. I'm so impressed. I'm so amazed. Like I really mean it when I'm like, yeah, like I'll work you hard and for just those four, well, hard. It's actually, we just did a launch of the cohort and they're like, you called it an intensive, but this was really fun and it was really easy and it was really calming. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how your money's supposed to be.
Right. Well, but that's the great thing about where, and that's why we talked about this. I mean, we've been planning this for about 90 days to get you on,
Yeah.
going back to before being on the podcast and then having you on here tonight, just because your schedule and stuff like that. But it was found it very important because we wanted people to be into their year, get beyond that craziness of the January 1st and the new resolutions and all that stuff to get to the point like now it's shaking out a little bit. You look like, hey, I didn't get this done. Here's an opportunity for you to find somebody that can help you out there and keep you on that path to success so that your opinions of Christmas and the holidays, which are very stressful for folks for money, can be a different insight for the next holiday season, the next January.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned you hope people haven't given up on those New Year's resolutions yet. Like, yeah, me neither. You feel like you're slowing down the momentum? Like, let's make that money map. Let's just make it a little bit of a clearer, easier path for you. We can pull this off.
Exactly. So, any other questions, folks, comments, concerns, everybody out there? We are on the chat roll, so feel free to shimmy up before we let Katherine go, or you can book your call with her by going to katherinepomerantz.com/action plan. That's katherinepomerantz.com/action plan. If you're listening to the replay, the link will be in the description. If you're listening to the podcast episode, will be in there as well. And so make it 15 minutes, well worth your time. Your biggest fears, let Katherine slay them for you. Let her be part of your hero and your teammate to help you get on that right track and be your Gandalf on your path to the your golden ring, I guess you could say, as I'm using the analogies tonight.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katherine. We'll definitely be in touch again sometime soon here. Where are you excited? You've been traveling more. Where's the place that you're traveling to that you're excited about going?
Oh, okay, so secretly, we're actually pregnant. I'm not going anywhere for a little bit.
Oh, hey, congratulations. There you go. Well, kudos.
Yeah, I was like, I actually just canceled a bunch of trips because I'm like, I'm going on leave.
Well, kudos to you. Congratulations. This will be number 2. Is that right?
Yeah, number 2.
There you go.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, congratulations there for you. Peter Ron here says, thank you, Katherine, for your time. That's awesome. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody who's been watching tonight. Guys and gals, like I said, make a note that katherinepomerantz.com/action plan. I guarantee you've got questions, fears, desires. I know I'll be booking a phone call as well. And so go out, take some action, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you all at the top. Thanks again, Katherine.